What's going on, Broncos country? Welcome to another edition of Broncos Daily. I'm your host, Kurt Valenti. Please like and subscribe to the page, and of course, leave comments, and I will get to viewer comments and maybe your comments on another show. And we could discuss all things Denver Broncos. So, another day in the NFL Combine 2026. The Broncos have made some off the field news, some on the field news, which we'll get to in a little bit, but some off the field news. And they hired Robert Livingston, former defensive coordinator for the past 2 years at the University of Colorado, as their, pass game coordinator. Taken over for Jim Leonard, who became the defensive coordinator with the Buffalo Bills. So Livingston comes aboard. He has also had experience in the NFL. He was with the Cincinnati Bengals for a couple of years, and he worked with Vance Joseph when Vance Joseph was with Cincinnati. So he knows Vance's system. He knows Vance. Again, it's another piece to our defensive puzzle and our coaching puzzle as a whole. There's still talk about Mike Zimmer. We mentioned Mike Zimmer a couple of shows ago, being some kind of a consultant, or some kind of a senior coach to come on staff, potentially at some point becoming a coordinator. Can Livingston be, a defensive coordinator waiting in the wings if and when Vance Joseph gets a job? So we'll see. But, obviously he's, he knows the Colorado area, being the Colorado Buffaloes DC the past 2 years, knows working with Vance. And again, Sean, anybody that Sean gets, I'm going to be on board with. Everybody, all the coaches pretty much he has hired has been a home run. Again, not everyone is going to work out, but as a whole, I think he's done a pretty good job bringing on the assistants. So I'm with it. What's your thoughts about it? Do you like it? Colorado people who follow Colorado, what's your thoughts? You saw him up live as the DC the past couple of years. I know 2 years ago when he came in, and 3 years ago, the defense was really bad in Colorado. So when he came in, they really made some nice strides. Their defense picked it up last year. Not as great as 2 years ago. But, hey, leaving a DC job in college, coming to the pros, passing game coordinator, Robert Livingston, Broncos hire him. What's your thoughts? Moving on to the combine now. One of the positions that we have talked on this pod numerous times, and we will until this roster is formed for the 2026 season, the Denver Broncos met with a bunch of middle linebackers. You're allowed to do a certain amount of interviews. I believe it's 40. I could be wrong, but I believe it's 40. They can meet with 40 people, and they did a bunch. I want to say they did at least between 6 and 8 linebackers, and I'll get to some names. But again, we heard Sean Payton say linebacker has to get taken care of. We heard George Payton, right, general manager George Payton, say he wants Stranad and Singleton back. He would love them back. He actually called them. He said they're Broncos, right? That they are Bronco football players. So he would love them back, but he also knows we have to get younger in that position. Again, so there's so many different ways to go. You still have Dre Greenlaw, and you still have Drew Sanders. A lot of people don't remember Drew Sanders. Second round pick a couple years ago, just injured though. The past couple years, last year, never took a snap, never made preseason. He got hurt in the offseason. He was supposed to come back. There was a chance he came back. Nothing, never came back. And again, that's an athletic linebacker who, again, don't shoot the messenger. I just remember people saying he's like a poor man Micah Parsons when he was coming out of Arkansas. He could rush the passer. You could play him with your hand, with his hand down. He could play in the middle. He could cover. We haven't seen anything like that so far in Denver. Again, just the injuries have just constantly happened to him in a position where you got Dre Greenlaw already. How much can you depend on, even though he was a second rounder, how much are you going to put stock in that this guy's going to stay healthy and help you? So they did meet with a bunch of players, and the one name that stood out was outstanding linebacker Sonny Styles out of Ohio State. Now, why would you say that is? It stands out. Well, he is projected to be definitely a top 10, top 12 pick. The problem is we're picking number 30. Now, he could be projected to go even higher if he has a good combine. I mean, this guy is an absolute stud, game wrecker, athletic. They say he's like an athletic freak. He can get to the ball. He could cover. You could rush him, rush the passer with him. But it's just interesting that, you have a team picking 30 and probably not going to see a player like this on their draft board available. But, they did meet with Sonny Styles. So could that be, hey, if he slips into the 12s to the 15s, can Denver make a move up to go get a guy like Styles? I would love it. I just don't know if they can do it. It's going to cost something. But listen, if that's the player they love, and in free agency we don't get a Devin Lloyd, and it doesn't work out with Singleton or Stranad or even one of them. Like I said, 32 years old Singleton. Stranad has never been a starter in this league. And Greenlaw and Sanders have, injury concerns. We got to get better in that position and younger, and the only way to do that is through the NFL draft. So that was one. Obviously, they met with C.J. Allen. We spoke about him, the great linebacker out of Georgia. Jacob Rodriguez, the undersized but unbelievable quote-unquote football player. You watch his film and just a tackling machine for a middle linebacker. Could the size be an issue on the next level? It might. But again, we're not going to take him at 30. He would be a second round candidate, moving up maybe to go get him. I heard some rumors today that Buffalo likes him. Buffalo met with him. Again, if we don't do anything in free agency, that's a guy I would love. Just a tackling machine. Look at, Alex Singleton's almost the same player, right? His measurables and his speed and everything and undersized, but he's a football player. Every week, 12 tackles, 14 tackles, 50. The guy's a tackling machine. It's the same thing with Rodriguez. We saw what he did at Texas Tech. So another player the Broncos interviewed. Bryce Betcher from Oregon. Again, not in the first round, more of a second round, third round, maybe even a little lower linebacker. Jake Golday from Cincinnati. Again, another playmaker, one of the best defensive players Cincinnati has had in a while. Missouri linebacker Joshua Trotter. More of an athletic guy, coverage, speed. So, you could see the Broncos have kind of did a little, kind of gone a little in a couple of different directions with these middle linebackers. But what it tells me is they are interested. They may be moving up because, again, if, you're not just going to waste an interview on Styles if you don't think you have any chance of getting him. And again, he is one of the premier linebackers in this draft. So I think it's safe to say the Broncos are, looking for a middle linebacker. And I think there's this draft. George Paton has openly come out and said that this is a good draft for middle linebackers. So what's your thoughts? Do you like anybody on that list? Do you not like anybody on that list? Again, C.J. Allen I like. Rodriguez I like. Styles, I would love to get him. Just don't know if I can. But those are probably my favorite three. Styles, Allen, and Rodriguez. Those are my three. I think, again, if we're going to get one of these linebackers, second and third round, mostly if we're going to say second round, I think he should play a little this year. And I'm going to expect him to play. I don't know about start. Again, middle linebacker it's a different animal. You just, especially on a good team where we have Super Bowl aspirations, to just tell a rookie linebacker, hey, you're playing in the middle of this great defense and you're going to be the leader of this great defense. It's very hard to do. So, again, I could see something like Singleton comes back. We draft one of these guys. We get him ready. He gets experience this year. And by next year, he takes over in the middle. So what's your thoughts? Do you like any of them? Don't like any of them? Do you want the Broncos to move up? Do you want the Broncos to go linebacker? Or would you rather bring the Broncos back Singleton and Stranad, or do something with Devin Lloyd in the when once free agency opens. Switching to the other side of the ball now, we spoke a little defense today, but we're also going to talk about offense. And when we talk about offense, we're going to get back again to the running back game. And, rumors are Breece Hall is going to get tagged somehow by the Jets, either transition tagged, franchise tagged, possibly the same thing with Kenneth Walker from the Seattle Seahawks, right? So those are obviously two of the better running backs in free agency. They're probably going to command the most money. The problem is, are they really officially going to hit free agency if they get tagged? Now, and I had a comment, and I'll get to that in a couple of days. I'll get that in a couple of days going forward when we get more into the free agency thing. But one of our commenters said, even though you get tagged, you could still get traded. So if the Jets do tag Breece Hall and he's unhappy there and he wants to move on, the Jets can do that and get more, in return of some kind of, draft capital or any kind of another assets if they make that trade. So that's, again, something just to, keep your eye on. And just remember, it doesn't mean we can't get him once he gets tagged. Same thing with George Pickens in the wide receiver room with the Dallas Cowboys. They can still franchise him and then trade him. But we're going to get to another running back today, and that's Travis Etienne from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this is a running back that I absolutely love. As you know, big time star in college as Trevor Lawrence's running back at Clemson. Won a couple national titles there. I believe he was a second round pick in Jacksonville with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And in 4 seasons, he's been an unbelievable player. He has had a little bit of injury issue, but in his 4 seasons, he's now had 3 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Last year, combined rushing and receiving, 1,400 total yards, 13 touchdowns. I mean, that's a big-time performance for a running back. He can run it, obviously, but the great thing is he can also catch the ball out of the backfield. And I think that is super, super, super important in a Sean Payton offense. And I know we're going to say, well, it's Davis Webb. Davis Webb is calling the plays. It's still going to be a Sean Payton offense, right? He's only 27 years old. Roughly they're saying he's going to probably, again, depending on what happens with Hall and Walker, anywhere between $7 and $11 million per year, especially if those guys get transition and franchise tagged, then basically your number one free agent running back is going to be Travis Etienne. So is that going to bump the price up a little? If it does, I still say, who cares? If it's what we want and it's what Sean wants for this team and for this offense, let's go get them. Again, we have the money. What do we have the money for? We want to go get weapons. We need a legit run game. I'm going to get to something I read actually a half hour before I did this pod that that excites me. I want to see if it excites you about a running back room. But, explosive running back, home run hitter. Anytime this kid could touch the ball, he could go 60 yards. What I like about him is when he runs inside in his career, he's averaged 4 yards per carry. Off tackle, 4.2. Outside, 4.9. So almost 5 yards. So everywhere, he's definitely a 4 yard per carry guy. That's pretty damn good in the NFL. People might say, well, he's undersized and he's not going to be able to get the tough yards. I don't believe that. I mean, he is a tough runner. He can run the ball inside. But this is what I heard. I read this today and this excites me. Would you sign up for a running back room where the Denver Broncos sign as a free agent, Travis Etienne? They make a trade with the Detroit Lions for David Montgomery. And then they have R.J. Harvey as their third down back, their scat back, their joker. I am 1,000% signing up for that room. Why? Because obviously we just said Etienne, hey, he could be a 3-down back. He can catch the ball in the backfield. But the one concern might be is he a smaller back? We can't get the tough yards. Well, now you got David Montgomery to do that. So if you could give me an Etienne, Montgomery, R.J. Harvey backfield, oh, baby, I am signing up for that. You talk about a running back room that went from here to there. Let's go. Now the emphasis is, with Davis Webb, we're going to run the ball more. And again, RJ Harvey becomes just a weapon everywhere I can play. ETN with RJ Harvey, I could play Montgomery with Harvey. Hey, Montgomery and Gibbs played a lot in the same formations in Detroit. We could do the same thing here. So again, that was just what somebody I trust, a pretty good Bronco insider said, would you sign up for that room? And I'm 100% signing up for that room. So would you? That's my question. Please leave your comments. I'll get to your comments on future shows. But what do you think? I would love Travis Etienne. Again, I would still probably go Hall, Kenneth Walker, Etienne. But again, if those guys, we can't sign them, they don't hit free agency, they re-sign somewhere or they sign somewhere else, re-sign with their teams, give me Travis Etienne. Game breaker as a running back, great in the pass game, and just explosiveness, something we do not have. But like I said, even if it's instead of Etienne, Montgomery, and Harvey, I've said this all along. Give me Etienne, Dobbins, and RJ Harvey. Same thing. Those three backs. I want a three-headed monster where it's a 1 and a 1A and Harvey to do a little of everything. What's your thoughts? But Travis Etienne, how he fits with the Broncos, I think he fits great, and I would love it. Would you love it? And my last thoughts of the day today, obviously I want to get to one of our viewers' comments. And you guys have done phenomenal leaving the comments. Again, I love it. I love talking Broncos with you guys. I love hearing your thoughts on what I say or what's going on in Broncos country with the draft, with the free agency, with trades, with the combine. So please leave your comment. Today's comment is from T-Bomb322. And he says, okay, I see everyone trying to go through these offensive players, but I think we need a run stopper. In my mock draft, I always had a run stopper from that McDonald's kid or Lee Hunter. But would you think we get somebody in free agency? But a lot of stuff that I'm looking is that we're going to be more, get more in the draft than free agency. What do you think? Well, first off, thank you, T-Bomb, for commenting. And I'm on your side with this. That is a position, defensive line. Listen, you can never not have enough good defensive linemen. I will say this all the time. I think run the ball, play defense. That's how you win a championship. So anytime you want to keep building that defense, I am all in there for you. I am all in it for you. You mentioned a guy, Lee Hunter. Now, this guy is a beast. I mean, I watched him a little today on the, I watched him a little with the combine. I mean, the guy is just massive, right? And we are losing JFM, probably, right? Not official, but it looks like he's going to go elsewhere. And again, if he does, hey, go get your money. It's just, we can't pay everybody. It would be cheaper. So, I do not think that's, a crazy statement. If the Broncos keep number 30, I think 100% in this draft, within the first 3 picks, they are going to go defensive lineman somewhere. But, number 30, if Kenyon Sadiq is off the board, if one of these linebackers that they love is off the board, and say a guy like Hunter is available at number 30, and they can't, here's the big thing, we can't move that pick for, say, a Jalen Waddle, yeah, maybe we do go defensive line. Again, nothing is ever wrong with picking defensive linemen, especially high drafted defensive linemen, right? Because again, you just look at championship teams, throughout, they stop the run. If you cannot stop the run, you're not going to have a good defense. If you can stop the run, you have a chance to be a legit defense. So we did a good job last year. Not a great job, right? We did a pretty good job. But can we get better there? Yeah, absolutely. And you get it where the positions they're looking at. Up front, the defensive tackle spots, and those middle linebackers. So I'm excited that the Broncos are looking at those 2 positions. Again, I think, I think on the defensive side, up front, I agree with you. I think that's going to be more through the draft than free agency. I think through free agency, it's going to be offensive weapons and a linebacker. And same thing with trade. I think offensive weapons, right? I mean, that tight end, wide receiver, running back room is going to get better. But I would say draft, defensive position, linebacker, and defensive line. Secondary, again, safe, especially safety. I can still see that because, again, that's another position if you could go get a great player. Look, they did it last year with Barron, right? You could have gone other ways, but you picked Barron, and hey, when you get a top 10 or top 15 guy and he drops, and you could have a defensive starters for a bunch of years, you go do it. So I agree with you. I think defensive line in the draft, that's the way they're going to go. I don't think it'll be a trade or free agency there. I think we're going to get a young defensive lineman in the draft. But thank you for the comment. And again, guys, please comment throughout the shows. I will read the comments like I did today on all the shows. I love interacting with you guys. Please please subscribe to the page. Get some more Bronco people. Tell some Bronco people, hey, we got a good podcast here, and we want it to be interactive. We want to get your comments out in the air and what we think about it, because it's exciting time, guys. Got the combine now. In 2 weeks, free agency starts. That's when, hey, the rumors are going to be coming hot and heavy. And you know what? Let's come back to Broncos Daily and let's talk about it, right? We got a lot going on. I love it. I'm pumped up. I know Broncos country, you're pumped up. So again, come back for another edition of Broncos Daily and go Broncos.